Welcome back. We're here to preview Saturday afternoon's Premier League clash between Leicester City and Crystal Palace. Pascal, top the away side, first defeat under Pardew last time out at Everton.
I think they can feel themselves a bit hard done by in that game. Obviously, Everton went ahead inside the first 5 minutes. Quite a fortunate goal. Naismith's cross, and then Speroni just sort of pushed out and he just hit Lukaku. It's quite unlucky. On another day that just goes out and they're safe. And then after that, they dominated. They had a lot more shots than Everton. Everton only had 2 shots on target in the whole game. So, Pardew, we talked last week about how good his record has been since he took over. And I think, against Everton, that's just one of those games, I think. They didn't play too badly in that one. They didn't, create a lot of chances. Obviously, Dwight Gale had that shot cleared off the line by Jagielka. That's probably as close as they came. And I think on the goal line technology, it was only about, an inch or so from going in. So, on another day, they might have even won that game. So I don't think it was too bad. I don't think you can take, Palace fans won't be too annoyed about it because the start under Pardew on the whole has been brilliant.
Yeah, I think like I say, it has been a great start, but you're so close to the bottom of the table at the minute, isn't it? I think they're sitting in 13th at the minute, but only 4 points on the bottom 3, and you're thinking it's going to be so tight. They're obviously one of the teams, and we think there's probably 7 or 8 teams involved in that scrap at the bottom. I mean, even Leicester City at the bottom, and not too like we're talking about Leicester here, they're not too far away from them, are they? So it's one of those where you need a good run. Think about hopes for the season. I think they finished 13th last season, wasn't it, overall, which is obviously a great season. Pulis got a lot of praise for that, and Pardew's obviously come in, like I say, 1 4 from 5, which is very good, including cup competitions, but it's one of those where it's been a good start, but you have to carry it on, don't you? Especially against teams that are going to be in the bottom around you.
Certainly, and I think their transfer business has been pretty good in January as well. Obviously, I think Jordan Much is a good signing. Sort of didn't do too much this season, but he's still quite a young player. I think he's got a lot of promise. Good from outside the box, scores a lot of long-range goals. Lee Chung-Young, I think that's a good signing from Bolton. I'm not sure if he'll start a lot of games, but he's a good squad player. He probably was Bolton's best player, and that's a big blow for them to lose him. Obviously, Wilfred Zaha coming in permanently. That's sort of the big one they managed to get in. Didn't work out for him at United at all, did it? All that money United spent on him. I think I saw a stat the other day. It was like 400,000, maybe a minute per minute that he played, which is just ridiculous. But obviously back home at Palace, where he belongs, and I think they are quite exciting going forward. I think Yannick Bolasie still at the African Cup of Nations, DR Congo. They're doing really well out there. Bolassie's got them to the semi-finals. But I think if they'd lost him this window, I think a couple of clubs are interested in him. Maybe they've managed to keep him. Zaha, you've got Gale, who's a poacher up there. I think it is good for Palace, and I'd be very surprised if they go down given the squad they've got.
Moving on to Leicester, obviously last time out in Manchester United, they lost 3-1. It was a tough game, tough ask Old Trafford. United have been good at home this season. They lost against Southampton, Swansea. Apart from that, I think they've won every game. So drawing against Chelsea, aside from that, but 3-0, they were sort of 3-0 down before they could blink, really. I mean, there was Schwartz who made a bit of a mistake for the second goal. Falcao knocked it in. I think once you go 2-0 down at Old Trafford, it's difficult, isn't it? And to be fair, it could have been 5 or 6. It could have, not saying United had that many chances, but I think teams fold, don't they? And obviously Leicester got the goal late on. It was 3-1's not the worst result in the world at Old Trafford. It's disappointing, but they didn't play particularly well in that game. They started with an attacking formation. I think Kramaric played, Vardy played as well, and Ulloa played as well. So he did go for it. Didn't quite work out, but I don't think teams like that, they're going to sort of determine whether they stay in the league. It'll be games like this, which are going to be much more important, especially at home.
Definitely. I think Vasilevsky, he got the consolation goal in that game. And I've been surprised how much he's played this season, actually, because they signed him in the Championship last season. He was sort of a third-choice centre-back behind Morgan and Moore. And I think, they've since brought in Robert Huth. I think that's a good signing for them. He's since lost his way at Stoke a bit, but he's still a good player, big centre-back, which should help them at the back a bit. Apart from that, it wasn't too busy a January, was it? I think Kramaric, you mentioned him, he's come in, had a couple of bright moments, but we yet to really see the best of him. And I think this is a sort of game against one of your relegation rivals where he'll want to come to the fore and try and showcase what he can do. But Leicester, this is like you said, this is a massive game for them. You look at the fixtures that are coming up. They've got, I think it's Arsenal, Everton, and City, all 3 away from home as well in the next 3. They would have played Chelsea in between those, but that's been postponed because of the League Cup final. So this is Pearson will see this as a must-win game, a real must-win game, because to travel to Arsenal, Everton and City in the next 3, you just can see them picking up no points out of that. So this game is crucial for them.
Like you say, you wouldn't really fancy it, but their home form's not been good this season. I think they won 2 from 11, which is the poorest in the league. So obviously, form at home is always important, no matter what level you're in, but especially for a team right at the bottom of the table. It's these sort of games, like you mentioned, that run's horrid, isn't it? Even if Chelsea were in there as well, it's a terrible run of form. Remember, they had it at the start of the season, didn't they, where they played sort of United, Arsenal, Everton. Did quite well against the bigger teams, to be fair, but going away from home's a different story entirely. Which is score prediction for this one?
Yeah, I think Pearson will really drill that home. How important this game is. I think he'll say, this could really determine, this. If we win this game, it could keep us up at the end of the season if they do stay up. So I think he's going to really drill that into the players. I think the crowd will be really up for it. So I'm going to go for Leicester to get a point. I'm going to go 2-2.
2-2. I'm actually going to agree as well. I'm just going to go 1-1 now. I think it will be tight, but neither team really. 1-1 won't be the worst result for either team, but I think whoever loses this game is going to be dragged back into it. Obviously, Leicester are down there, so important game. Both going for draws in this one. Thanks for joining us.